Welcome to today's video where I explain the ins and outs of how to get the high potential individual visa. In my last video, I explained my whole process of moving from Amsterdam to London, and in today I want to dive into the specifics so that you're not shocked about the healthcare costs that come with the application or the extra long waiting times. All of that will be explained in this video, so stay tuned and keep watching. The whole idea about this visa is so that the UK is able to bring highly educated people to the UK without having to already have a job. Okay, so if you did want to get a job and have that company sponsor you, then that's a whole nother visa and you don't need this one. So this one is to allow you to be here, start looking for a job and not need a job already, which is quite useful. That is critical to being eligible for this visa. It's specific that you have the correct degree. So it has to either be equivalent to a UK bachelor's degree, postgraduate degree, or PhD. So an associate's degree in the US would not qualify because it's not a bachelor's. So another part is that you must have graduated within the last 5 years. So that means the month of your graduation date is within the past 5 years. And so you need to go into the website and they have a link for the eligible universities in a certain time frame. And that's always from November 1st to October 31st. So you check your month of graduation with the correct link because they do change depending on the year. And it's, I think, based on the ranking of the school. So if your school had happened to not be, I think, let's say top 30 that year, then you may not be eligible. So you need to check that the list that they have per year. All right, so once you know that you're eligible for this visa, let's talk about costs because that is a major part in the application process. And the first cost that you have to pay is £210 to check your eligibility. They go to your school and they check that your the uploaded diploma is correct and that you actually have graduated from that school. That takes a few days. Once you get a code that shows that you've done this check, you put that into your application and you fill out the whole application. So most of the application is just, basic contact information and passport and, things like that. The most time-consuming part was actually they ask you to list all the places that you've traveled to within the last 10 years. So that actually took a lot of time and I had to go back into my passport and actually check my visa stamps and make sure that I was documenting everything, even if it's a layover. So I didn't want to risk it and not fill out a layover, even though it seemed like even if I had only been in the place for a few hours, they still said that you should do that. So it is tedious, but it is important. And part of applying for this visa is you also have to show that you have enough money to last when you get here. They need you to prove that you have £1,200 in your bank account for the last 3 months. So that's just a proof that you won't become, homeless or need governmental services to support you once you get here. So the rest of the application is going to be £822. So in total, with the check on your qualification, that's around £210. So in total, you're paying around £1,000 just for the application and the visa/residence permit. Within the application, though, you do have to pay for healthcare. So that was a bit of a surprise. So the healthcare surcharge is something you have to pay, which is £1,035. And that is showing the government that you can afford your healthcare for the next 2 years. Now, the UK does have NHS, and that means that pretty much every service is free for the doctors. So when you go to the GP, you don't have to pay anything. The tests that you need, are free. But you do have to pay this surcharge, which is basically covering, some of the cost for healthcare. So the thing is, importantly, that I had to understand when I actually did get a job, you also pay part of your salary to the NHS, and that's non-negotiable. Everybody in the UK has to do that. So it was a little bit frustrating because I felt like I was getting cheated because I have to pay that surcharge as well. And maybe it is a bit of a, an extra fee that they put on, international or expat people, but it is part of it, and you do have to pay that to get the visa. And the last note on the healthcare surcharge is that you have to pay this for the duration of the visa length that you have. So for me and the high potential individual visa, this is 2 years. So you have to pay the surcharge for 2 years. And that comes out to be 2,070 pounds. So let's think about this. By the end of this application, you are paying £2,000 for your surcharge, £1,000 for your whole application, and you have to show that you have still around £1,000 in your account. So this is quite expensive. You need to be having around 5-6K at least to show that you can live in the UK self-sufficiently once you're here without a job. Another useful thing to know about this visa, though, is that once you get it, you can also bring a spouse or a partner or basically a family member with you. So I moved with my partner and I chose to get my visa first and then apply for his. And we're actually still waiting for his, so it's taking a really long time. But it is nice. So that's an important thing to note, that you can bring someone else with you. However, all the same things apply, like the application fee, the health surcharge, showing that they have also enough money in their bank account, that applies to them as well. So it's between you and your partner or whoever you're bringing, you have to show that you have a lot of funds saved up and ready to go. All right, so let's get into the timeline of how this whole visa works, because when I was going through it, I was checking Reddit and blogs and anywhere that I could to find information of like, how long is it going to take? Am I doing this correctly? Because I was really freaked out that I needed to do everything perfectly the first time, because if you do get something wrong, you have to cancel your application and restart. So I actually did that once because I got to the end of the application and I had chosen the wrong visa application center to do my biometrics. And so I had to cancel it and restart. They do give you your money back. Unless you've already like started the process and you're far down the process, then they will give you only some of the money back. Luckily, I was able to figure out I messed up like right away. So I canceled it and started a new one basically in the same day. But it is important to know that if you do cancel it, you will get your money back if they haven't actually started processing your visa yet. Okay, again, back to the timeline. So let's say a few hours, let's say like 6 hours in total to do the whole application and fill out everything that I needed to. The first part though is the ECTIS, so ECCTIS, I think. And that's the check on the eligibility for the visa. So that's quite quick. You just have to have the photo of your diploma, and you send that, basically you fill in their application and you send that in. And I received the response back within a few days. So from there, it felt like, oh great, this process is gonna go quickly. It did not, but that part does go quite quickly in the beginning. Once you get that check done, you use a number that they give you and put that into your application. Now you fill out the rest of the application, and because I was applying from outside of the UK and specifically from Amsterdam, I had to select a place where I need to do the biometric appointment. And so by the end of the application, you get to selecting where that is. Important to note, if you are doing it in the Netherlands, they have two places. They have Amsterdam and they have The Hague. And in the application form, they will urge you to go to The Hague. Do not select The Hague, in my opinion, because you have to pay 300 extra euros for an appointment that's like let's say within that week. So this application is already quite expensive. I was trying to save money anywhere that I could, and I did not think that it's worth it to get the 300 pound or 300 euro Hague visit, unless you live in The Hague and that's easier, whatever. But know that they tried to push you in that direction to get more money, and that's why I had to cancel my first application. So choose the Amsterdam one, then you go and you select the appointment date. Now, I was lucky because I happened to find a slot at like 11 a.m. on like a Thursday, and I just took some time off work and went and did the appointment. And I'm not sure if I was lucky and happened to get that to the 2 week later slot, or maybe it will take much longer, but I was happy at least that it didn't take, a month or something like that to get an appointment. All right, once you have your appointment, day comes, you go there. In the place that I went to, they said that you had to print out all of these documents, that they had sent you like a checklist document, and have printed out another document which had your application number and things like that. I printed everything out, and they actually didn't need the checklist thing. They only needed that one document that had all my numbers and things like that. And you'll probably, if you go through this process, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I got there, I gave them the form, they did all the biometrics, and you're out of there in like 15 minutes. So it's quite quick. And now is the most nerve-wracking thing, is you're waiting. So I had to wait, I think it was 3.5, let's say 4 weeks. I had to wait 4 weeks. And they said the whole process takes 3 weeks. So they did take longer than they said. Luckily, it wasn't way longer, which is happening with my partner's visa. But yes, so I got it within 4 weeks. They let you know when it's ready, and you come back to the visa center, and you don't have to make an appointment for this step. You go back, you pick up your passport with the visa stamp or sticker in it, and then that allows you to go to the UK. In your application, you say where you want to pick up your residence permit. And you can also choose to have it sent to you, but you do have to pay more money. Again, I was trying to save costs at all in any way possible. So I decided to go and pick my residence permit up, and you select the post office. You go there, you bring your passport. You have to bring your passport. They check it, they give you your residence permit, and you're good to go. So once you have the residence permit, then that's the end of the process and you're good. Something to note though, when you're going through getting an apartment or getting a job and showing that you do have the right to live, work in the country, is they have this system called a share code. Now, I was thinking that once I have the visa, I could get the share code, and I was putting my passport number and my birth date and all of that, and they said you have no matching record. And I was starting to really worry because I was like, but I do have a visa, and so why don't I have the share code? I realized that you only get the share code, or it only activates once you have your residence permit. So say you do get a job and you're waiting from the time that you have a visa and you're waiting, they will ask you for your share code. Just tell them you still need to wait for your residence permit to come. Then you can give them a share code, and then it works perfectly. All right, so that is the whole process of going through and getting your high potential individual visa. If you do have any questions on any specific part of it, then please let me know. Thank you for watching this video, and I really appreciate your time.